Welcome to the North and Mouth podcast. Now you may wonder why I'm on my own today, and I'm not joined by the huge tub of Northern Blancmange you may know as my co-host. We are both following the government's advice and self-isolating, but we are trying to do this from home, so the show must go on. This week on Coronawatch. Did I do that okay?
Yeah, alright.
Yeah, was it okay? Right. Well, basically, we have got the Prime Minister today has been diagnosed with...
Yeah, the Health Secretary as well.
Yeah, I thought that was anyway. Health Secretary, which one's Health Secretary? What, Hancock? Is that his name?
I have no idea. And the Chief Medical Officer, which is apparently a job.
And, what's his face? Prince Charles.
Yeah.
Prince Charles.
Which is odd.
And they were saying today how... Because I'm pretty sure Boris and Prince Charles were in the company of the Queen in the last, 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Gotta be.
Yeah, so... I mean, 93 is not an age to be fighting that, is it? I mean, I know she's fought up pretty much everything else, but... 93?
Yeah. It'd be a poor do if our Queen was taken down by Coronawatch, though, by coronavirus.
Yeah. After everything that's happened, and it just happens to be... happens to be like a bit more of an aggressive winter flu. But then again, I'm sure she's had every winter flu jab. They've probably already got at the very early stage of finding some sort of cure. I'm sure they would have bound to have got. We'll just prioritise her.
Yeah, if anybody's got it, it'll be them.
Yeah, but then again, the weird thing was, it's weird the way it affects. Sorry, here we go. This is the start of it. I'm
glad I'm over here.
Yeah, it's weird the way it affects different people, because it was saying that what's his face, Idris Elba got it, and he was just completely asymptomatic. He was just
just a carrier.
Yeah, it's so weird, but yet some people, it
absolutely floors them.
Yeah, I mean there was one person. It's actually killed a 21-year-old girl who didn't have underlying health issues apparently.
Yeah, I saw that. It was strange that.
I mean, we don't...
With a 19-year-old as well?
Might have been, yeah. And there was some other bloke who was in his early 30s, I think, or late 20s. This is the weird thing. There were some people, I did think it myself, but I kind of saw a few people talking about it, how they think Boris Johnson doesn't have it, and it's just been used as a... I've got it as well. I've got it as well, so I'm going to self-isolate, so you fuckers should as well. I mean, to be fair... The last 2 weeks have been a bit of a nightmare.
Yeah.
As far as people incapable of staying in.
Yeah, I've noticed that. There's a lot of groups of kids. A lot of groups of adults. I don't know, you mentioned somebody throwing a party. Apparently some of the people at work had a big barbecue over the weekend. And they had all the family and work colleagues around.
Where you work?
Yeah,
Yeah, of course, yeah.
There is a certain aspect to just people just not taking it seriously.
I know.
Now, about 3 weeks ago when we started doing this, we weren't taking it as seriously as...
No, we weren't.
Probably.
But, I mean, as it's gone along, we've not taken... We've taken precautions, hence why we're doing this. And I've been working at home for the last 2 weeks, which we'll get to. But there's some people, I mean, I saw a video the other day, and it was after he came out and said that basically, I mean, I think they've handled it pretty well, personally, the government-wise, as far as they can. I mean,
it's hard to say. Because we're still apparently not on total lockdown.
Yeah, but I mean...
China went into total lockdown after about 30 deaths. And they're now reporting that they've had 0 new cases, which...
They did get one either God, I'm trying to think now. Tuesday, maybe, or Wednesday, where they said they'd got another case in Wuhan.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
They went into total lockdown after about 30 deaths. we're 10 times the amount of deaths after that. Plus, we'll get to the numbers shortly. But we're still not in total lockdown. So, you know, they could have done more.
It's difficult to have a total lockdown. I mean, I imagine it's, I won't say easier in London, but there's a lot of the cases are in London.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I saw a video the other day of the news. The news were out, and it was after they'd said no more than 2 people gathering and blah, 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 blah. And, by the way, now we're going to have to turn around and enforce this with police.
Yeah.
And there was people just sat out in parks in groups, and there was 2 blokes sat there. It was when we had some nice weather a few days ago, and they were sat out in full black, like tracky bottoms and hoodies, which I didn't understand. You can't really be sunbathing then, but they were sat there pretty close to each other, and then the news reporter went over with his cameraman, so that obviously is more than 2 people. Sticks a microphone in their face, well close, and says, "How come? You know, have you heard the reports? Have you heard the news? Have you heard what you're supposed to do?" And the bloke was like, "Don't care, which is kind of what you're up against. So I can imagine it being horrendously frustrating that you know that if everyone just turned around and went, right, just calm down, and just the quicker. I think what people don't seem to grasp is the quicker you can get through this, the quicker.
Yeah.
Well, the more you just isolate yourself. I know it's shit, but the more we take it seriously, the quicker we can go back to normal again.
Yeah.
But people,
which is the issue I think they've got in America at the minute, because they've just overtaken China for the most cases.
I mean, as we record this on the Friday evening, they've overtaken and 94,000 cases.
Yeah, and over 40,000 of those are in New York City.
Yes.
Which is a fucking terrifying thought.
It's because it's so close, so compact.
Yeah, and also Trump spent the first 2 weeks of it calling it a Democrat hoax. Said that it didn't exist, and all this other shit. Which obviously, you know, I can't wait for him to get it.
Oh, that'd kill him off. That would absolutely kill him off. I mean, he is about 90 odd, whatever he is. You know, with all the plastic and what's the name, whippy on his head, the candy floss. But he was coming out and saying some stupid shit, like, you know, it was like, it's going to be great, and he was saying April mass. He said, wouldn't it be great? Everyone back in church, Easter Sunday. That'd be great. He was like, are you fucking deluded? I genuinely thought when they had, what's his face? What's that really stupid president they had? George Bush. And you thought, is this person serious? Like, are you being serious? Like, but Trump is genuine. You kind of think, are you seeing the same thing that everybody else is seeing? I mean, you can't turn around and pretend like we're the best, and we've got the best medical. It's not. They're really not. And I've heard it that it really will expose how bad America's medical system is.
Oh yeah. Because
you have to pay for everything, don't you? And they're already struggling. Another thing they said as well, which is a bit unnecessary, but they said there was hospitals in New York that actually have got big frozen lorries outside them where they're just No, they put the bodies in there already.
All right.
Literally just storing bodies.
I saw a thing at Birmingham Airport. They're going to build a mortuary to store them when they start dropping like flies properly over here.
What are we on at the moment? We've had 759, 180. Do you know what? Do you remember at the point when we were looking at it and there was something like, there's been 10 deaths today? There's been 10 deaths, 181 today.
Yeah, well, they're up to just shy of 600,000 cases worldwide. 26,000 deaths worldwide, apparently.
Yes.
Which is, again, the numbers are pretty low, the percentage-wise.
The thing is that
I'm not saying it's good.
It's so bad in Italy. I can't get over how bad Italy is, because I mean that is They've
put a lot of that down to their incredibly aged population, aren't they?
That, and how people apparently live in sort of family groups, quite close.
Yeah, big families
and big smokers.
My mum.
Big smokers as well.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So that's obviously going to have an effect on what's going on, but yeah, it's very, very. I don't know how has it affected you?
I have to queue up to go into a shop now.
Have you gone proper food shopping? Because I did go on my break to to Morrison's yesterday, and I got there at about
queued up in the car park.
11. Yeah, queued round the building, but they were doing that 2 meters apart thing.
Yeah,
and they were only letting a certain amount of people in, and I was just. It's obviously not something that they've ever had to kind of deal with, where we're not allowed to go into a shop straight away, and I was just like, shit, what's going on? And I thought, you what?
Were you angry about it? I were angry about it when I saw it.
I was angry about it, but I was more sort of...
Oh shit, it makes it a bit realer, doesn't it?
Yeah. But, I mean, they were right down the end, around the corner, and I was on my lunch break at work, so I couldn't... God knows how long I'd been there. Like, if I started walking to the queue and thought, nah, I sod this. Because you don't know. Yeah. You could be there for hours, or you could be there for 20 minutes. You don't know how quick people are going to be inside. But I went to a small co-op around the corner from the house, and even that, they were queuing 2 meters apart, like on this little tiny co-op, and I just started wandering around. There was no meat, there was no milk, no fruit or veg. There was. I went in and bought a loaf of bread. I bought a French stick because I thought I'd have that for my lunch.
Essentials.
Yeah, I bought some tea cakes to have for breakfast.
Sounds a little bit like you were panic buying bread.
It's my go-to.
Yeah, snack.
But what else did I get? I bought a fajita kit because I knew we had chicken in the freezer and I knew we had some onions and peppers. So I thought, right, well, I can do that.
No, I can do that.
And I bought a bottle of wine. And as I was still walking around. I was still trying to think, shit, what can I actually get? What can I get? And this woman came over to me who'd been sort of pushing people into queues and everything. And she obviously like the manager there. And she turns around, she just sort of accosts me, and she just goes like, "You can only have one of them. You can only have one." And I went, "What?" I wasn't allowed to have the French stick, a loaf, and some. What are they called? Tea cakes. And I was sort of thinking, like, have you looked at the rest of the shop? Like, the French sticks aren't what people are killing each other for. You've got nothing else in this shop.
Yeah, you've got no toilet rolls still.
Oh yeah, no toilet rolls, obviously. So I just got to the front, and it's almost like the whole realms of reason had gone out. Everything that we all knew. I mean, we're queuing up. And I'd brought 2 bags with me. I had them in my sort of back pocket, just sort of 2 carrier bags. And I get to the front and she's going, "Right, cash or card?" And she's shouting it. She doesn't need to shout it. She's like, she's not far away from me. And she's go to that one, go to that one. So she says, "Right, scan it through and then put it down in the side thing and then pack it." And I said, I just whipped out the bags. And I was like, "I know how it works." Like I don't get how, like, I understand, like, yeah, it's a good idea that you've put these things in place and we're standing this far apart and whatever, and you're cleaning things down. But you don't need to tell me how to do something. It seems like everyone's just losing their minds completely.
Yeah, they are a little bit. But I nipped to get some snacks. Didn't need any essentials. I wanted some fucking chocolate. Drove past the supermarket. They were queuing around the block. I thought, nah. Went to a petrol station. Nobody there.
This is the thing. I think I must be timing it really badly to get milk.
No, it's like that all day. People queuing outside all day.
But
like says, some people, you don't know how long you'll be there.
Well, when I came back and I got a measly shopping from Co-op, and spoke to the next door neighbours, and they said they'd gone there earlier on. They'd gone to the Tesco's that I thought I won't go to because I've been to the small Tesco's around the corner about 4 or 5 times and they haven't had anything in. So I thought, no, I'm not doing that again. And he said We went there and managed to get milk and some eggs and stuff. And it is literally, you time it right, and you'll be okay.
Yeah, you've just got to look out. Stuff's got to be there. Although we went last weekend to the market in Rottenstall. Fucking might say where I live. To the market in Rottenstall. They had everything you could want. Butchers were open, greengrocers were open, all fully stocked. All organic milk and eggs and all that shit. You get anything that you want from a market. We went into the pharmacy to pick a prescription up. They had every paracetamol, ibuprofen, medicine you could possibly want. You go in the supermarket, it's all sold out.
I suppose
because people are that used to now only going to a supermarket.
Yeah.
That you don't think, the local butchers will have me chicken. The local greengrocers will have potatoes and carrots. I'll go to the pharmacy to buy some ibuprofen. No, you get it all from the supermarket. And they only ever have 2-3 days of stuff on hand at any one time to begin with. So when people start buying a little bit more...
Well, that's the thing. I did notice when I was driving past the co-op that there was a butcher's and they were queued out the door then. Now, I don't know if that was down to the whole 2 meters thing, but I find butchers a very weird place to go to. It's very much if you're old school or you know what you're talking about. I'm not of a generation that can go in there and talk in weights for meat. You know what I mean? I can't do so. But you look like a fool because you go in there and go, can I have I don't know, enough for a meal for 2? And like, what is that for how they're wet? You're like, what? Whatever. What
I usually go as a butcher is 2 of you or 2 of me. And then I'll judge it from that. If they go, 2 big fat bastards like you, give them a nice big handful. And if they go, oh no, we're not massive eaters, give them a small handful.
Yeah.
But between you and me, nobody can do weights. Old people don't know how much 8 ounces is. They haven't a fucking clue. Nobody knows.
Well, I had to go years ago. I remember going into a butcher's when I lived down south, and I think I was doing a big meal, and I thought I'll get some proper meat, from a butcher's, and I couldn't have picked like the worst butcher's to go into. Like this place had sawdust on the floor and everything. Like it hadn't changed in yonks. And I walked in. I genuinely walked in, and like when they've got like slop buckets behind there as well, and it just looked rough as it looked hostile.
Trim bins, not slop buckets.
Whatever. I mean, it looks like that. But I kind of went in, and he's like, "What do I do for you, mate? What do you want?" And I just went, just enough for 4 people. Well, how much is that in? And I was like, I don't fucking know.
Well, that's the thing. You can't just say 4 people. Don't work like that. This is totally off topic, by the way.
No, I know. But at the end of the day,
we've fuck all else to talk about.
So, in light of everything being a bit shit and the fact that we're all locked inside and we can't get any fucking food, we wanted to try and find something a bit positive, which isn't usually a thing we do, but we are getting a bit sick of all the shit.
Negativity.
Yes.
Yeah. It has been pointed out on numerous occasions about how much of a miserable bastard you are to me by our loyal fans.
I mean, that's my USP, I suppose.
Yeah, sort of.
But in light of this,
we did have a look. We trolled through the sea of bullshit negativity,
of which there is a lot.
Positives.
So,
do you want to start?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just a general thing, but so one of the things I found was about factories across the UK converting like their production lines to make more ventilators for the NHS. So there was the McLaren F1 team.
There was Dyson invented a brand new one.
Just like that.
Strange how that happens, isn't it? But they've said they're going to provide NHS with 10,000 of them on pretty fucking short notice.
It's you can always rely on Dyson. I'd probably prefer to have a Dyson one over anything else. I mean, they do wind. That's what they do.
Yeah. They were an Italian chap who made a way of 3D printing some sort of valve for a full face scuba mask that could link that and turn that into a ventilator. And he released that for free and give that to whoever wants it.
I like that. I like the whole giving away for free thing.
Yeah,
I got
nice touch.
As far as companies wise, I did apparently the co-op are donating 1.5 million to food banks.
But
then it's
quite a lot of companies donating stuff. A lot of pubs, restaurants that were forced to close give all their leftover food to food banks.
Yes, I'd heard about that.
After all the shit Sports Direct have taken for various things over the past few days, they've said that the NHS can use their fleet of lorries for deliveries, do whatever they want, probably corpse removal. I don't really know what NHS needs lorries for, but there you go.
To transfer all the Dyson ventilators over, so...
Yeah, that could be it.
But did you see as well, the supermarkets, I think Aldi the first one to do it, that they were giving their staff raises?
Yeah, Aldi have given them all a 10% bonus, I think. All the staff for turning up.
And there's a nice touch. There are some, though, that I thought were a bit pants. The one that said, meanwhile, Tesco's is set to hire 20,000 new staff for the next 12 weeks to cope with the demand. All they're doing is going, we're bringing on more people so we can sell more. So,
yeah, well, there was some stuff like people had gone for an interview at 10:30 and started the first shift at 12.
Yeah, I've heard that.
So they're just desperate to put stuff on the shelves.
Well, we're going off now. I couldn't help but go a bit negative then.
Yeah, positive. Costa, Domino's, takeaways, hot drinks outlets have given NHS workers free food and drink.
Yeah, I saw that.
Quite a lot of that going on.
I think Costa were quite late to the party with sort of offering NHS stuff. Everybody else, coffee places had offered free coffee and stuff like that, and Costa came out and just sort of went...
Yeah, go on then.
Yeah, go on.
I think Domino's give 200 grams worth of pizza, which for Domino's is about 8 pizzas.
8p.
To the NHS. So, that was good of them.
Yeah. I'm sure they were still going... A mate of mine used to work in those places, and you have to use a little scoop. You have to use a tiny little scoop to take out the toppings.
Yeah.
Let's just hope they were extra generous. If I worked there, I'd be extra generous. But we were talking as well about air pollution and CO2 emissions.
Yeah,
dropping.
That's dropped all over the world. Like cities have been covered in smog now for years and years. They're a lot better. Venice, the canals are clean.
Yeah,
and have fish.
That's the one that I can remember. I saw a picture of that and thought, fuck, that's mad to think that over the course of a couple of weeks. That shit like that can happen. It's almost like the Earth's having a cleanse. It's having like
it's a strange one. Whales have been seen in the Antarctic for the first time in about 70 years, I think it said.
Suddenly thought you meant the country then. The country's just drifted off into the...
Oh, we wish.
Yeah.
Hey, we haven't heard anything about Brexit.
We haven't heard anything.
It's coronavirus start. I'm sort of missing it.
I miss talking about Brexit.
Yeah, shame.
Yeah. My favourite story that I saw, I don't know if you saw this one, but there was a Brussels chocolatier called, I'm going to get the name wrong, Frederic Blondel. So he was delivering emergency chocolate to quarantine and self-isolating Brussels residents.
Oh, that's great.
A Belgian chocolate, not Belgian, Brussels it is, isn't it? Delivering chocolate.
Yeah, I like
if you're isolating, that's a nice touch. We saw another one, what is it? A stables in Teddington in London were taking ponies up to the windows of people in isolation in sort of like a contact-free way of sort of spreading some smiles.
Seeing a pony.
Seeing a pony. I mean, that'd be funny to watch, anything, because I can see a field out the front of our house. I can't really see much else.
Yeah, that sounds shit. What else was there? Did you see the cow in Florida?
No.
News story here. A cow is on the loose in South Florida, not considered dangerous, but police have been trying to corral it since January. The police put out a tweet, wanted unknown cow. Description: female cow, brown with a white head, faster than it looks, talented fence jumper, enjoys pools. Which I just thought were nice.
Where's this?
That were in the New York Times, New York Post. Just thought that were a nice little.
Was it from New York?
Sorry?
Was it from New York, the cow?
No, it was Florida.
I see.
What else was there? Second ever person cured of HIV. Decent. The last Ebola patient were released from hospital because Ebola was still a thing. That was something we were panicking about a couple of years ago.
Yeah, that didn't make its way over, did it? Or did it?
No.
Barely. It didn't kick off.
Yeah.
I saw another one. I think it was to do with Chester Racehorse has launched a food bank, drop-off points to support the community. So I've seen a few things like that. Racecourse, Chester Racecourse.
Oh, yeah.
It's been quite a few places like hotels and stuff like that have sort of opened their doors to stuff like that. I know Gary Neville. Is it Gary Neville's got a hotel in Manchester? I think he closed the doors and sort of opened it for that. So there are some good things out there.
Yeah, just you have to really look for them.
You
Not
do,
easy to find.
but it's so easy to report on that. I mean, we're guilty of it as well, but it's
Something else good. Boris Johnson's just got coronavirus.
He hasn't got it. He's just going, the only way I can get it through to these thick cunts to actually stay inside is if I pretend I've got to stay inside as well, and I'm sick.
Is if I admit to not following my own guidelines.
Yeah, you just see him going out having a run. It's like, you're supposed to be self-isolating, Boris.
Yeah, on one of his little bikes.
Oh, God. How have you been finding the... I was going to say. I can't remember. What else have we got on here as well? I'm pretty sure I had some other bits on here. This was down as a potential good thing. But, I mean, as a US Catholic priest is offering drive-through and contact-free confessions outside his Maryland chapel. That was just sort of snuck in between some actually genuinely, like, nice stories. So, it could have been doing anything to help, but I'm taking confessions.
Yeah, they found a new tiny little dinosaur the size of a hummingbird.
Whereabouts?
I don't know whereabouts. Found it in some amber. You know, like in Jurassic Park, little mosquito.
Yes.
A bit like that. They found the first of its kind, tiny little hummingbird-sized thing.
You said that really gently then.
Yeah.
It's a little hummingbird.
Yeah, it's little hummingbirds. For me, that were about all I could find.
Yeah, it is like you said.
There's no money in reporting nice, good things.
No, but it'd be nice to just tack something on, because I think I found it's being stuck inside as being really... I thought it was all right. I mean, it's the fact. Maybe it's the fact of food. Maybe I just rely on food as a comfort thing more than I really thought I did. But not being able to know that I've got a certain thing, not to go, oh, I fancy that tonight, and then going, oh shit, I can't get it. So It is good to hold on to these things. One thing that I've found, and it's like a work thing, but it's also a good way of keeping sort of face-to-face contact. We've been using Microsoft Teams within my sort of like office, and it's been really handy to actually, like, instead of just sort of emailing somebody, because you're all on this sort of, it's almost like a big MSN chat thing, like an old school thing like that, but you can send certain things, or you can actually set up a conference where everyone's on their webcam. You can share files on it and stuff like that. You can even sort of share your screen, so you can show like what's going on. Like if you go, oh, because we were being shown something today by our boss, and there was sort of like there's three of us, and said, oh, show us your screen. So I was able to show us like how to actually log into a certain thing that we were being shown, and you can actually like. I think it kind of will change the way that we work in my sort of area, because it has been amazingly, but
not so much in my industry.
Not so much. I can't see you being much use in yours, but it has been very handy to be able to ring someone and sort of speak to them face to face. Still being able to see. I know you're not face to face in person, but it's the closest thing you can get. So I think it's quite important to still keep doing stuff like that as much as you can, because obviously we can't physically go and see people yet. So being able to kind of keep talking to people is tremendously helpful. So working from home for the last 2 weeks is starting to grate on me ever so slightly. I thought I'd share with you some issues that I've been having early on. I mean, I am only 2 weeks into it, so God knows what I'm going to be like in a couple of weeks. But
because I can't really relate to this because I still have to go to work.
Yes, I'm still working. I'm still actually doing more work than I was in the office.
I imagine I'd feel trapped if I was working at home and being at home. I like to step out of work and don't think about it until my alarm goes off in the morning.
Well, the handy thing is, I mean, more so for me, that we've got a room that I can, so upstairs, I've got the desk in there, I've got the computer in there, I can go in there during the day and then close the door, so I don't need to go back in there. So there is that handy thing. But a few things, now I don't know whether, I imagine this is like bothering other people as well, working from home, but if you've got animals, it's very difficult to concentrate, especially cats. The amount of times I've had meetings over the last few weeks, conferences with like managers, and then all of a sudden my little cat jumps up and hangs off my shoulder. So it's difficult to kind of sound professional in that kind of sense when you've got a tiny cat hanging off your back. But then again, talking to my boss a day later, just sort of sat there and then a tail just sort of goes past. So it can be quite frustrating, and of course they're confused because they're normally at home
all the time. I imagine people with kids have similar issues.
Yeah. Well, one thing that I found quite funny is observing what the animals do when I'm here. So if once they've got over the fact I'm still here, because it's been sunny the last few days, all three of the animals move around the house to stay in the sunshine. So as they go along, so it's more in the afternoon, it seems to get more sunny up in the bedroom. So it'll be a certain part of the day where I'll hear the animals walk up the stairs and go into the bedroom. And they're all laid in one long line, trying to capture the sun while I'm stuck in the other room. But one thing I found really difficult at the very beginning, this is before we had food shortages and everything, but I was fucking eating everything in the house. Like everything. I was having like so much shit. I mean, to be fair, I'm still having I'm having breakfast to an extent. I'm having cereal when we've got milk, but I'll have breakfast and a coffee, and I go, oh, I've still got a bit of coffee left. I'll have 2 chocolate biscuits for breakfast. There's no reason for it, but now that things are getting a bit tighter, maybe I'm over that a bit, but I'm still. It's thrown me out massively, and I do worry that being at home, I think they do say that it takes like 6 weeks for something to get stuck in your system, and that becomes routine. And I don't know how long this is going to go on for. I mean, it's going to be at the very least, it's going to be like 3 or 4 weeks of this at the very, very least.
I've seen conservative estimates of 12.
This is the thing. I think there's going to be like a massive mental health issue further down the line, because I'm already thinking, because I'm so big into, I like to know what's going on, and like I've got kind of like a routine of I know like what my day's going to be. My day would usually be, I get up at 5, I go to the gym, I get showered at the gym, I go to work, and I eat when I get to work, and then I eat at 12, and then I come home, and then evening meal can be a bit whatever. But now I'm not going to the gym in the morning. I'm having breakfast a bit later because I can, because by the time I've kind of set everything up and everything, and then lunch can be any time. Lunch is all over the place. There's a lot of snacking involved, and then evening meals, whatever. I mean, I got up the other day, 6 o'clock. No, not 6 o'clock. Yeah, 6 o'clock to get up, because I started work at 7:30. I got up at 6 and thought, right, I'll do some press-ups or something. Went in, tried to do my press-ups. Shoulder was not having it at all. So I thought, right, I'm not going to waste this. I'll go for a run. I don't really do running because of my shit legs. So I thought, I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to go out. I thought, by this time it was 6:30. And I get out I thought it was cold and it was quiet, but it was really still. And I thought, lovely, no one's going to be about. I'd got to the end of my the road that I live on, which is fairly short. I got to the end of that, and that's when I started running. I immediately nearly bumped into someone who was also going for a jog at that time in the morning. I ran up the road. I must have been running about a minute. This is just for anyone that doesn't do cardio on a regular basis. Don't go for a run.
Ever.
About 20 minutes after you've woken up in the morning, because I didn't really realise I could breathe in that hard afterwards. I was breathing in and breathing out like full width, full either end. I was taking a full lungs, double lung full and full double lung full out, and this was going on for a good 2 or 3 minutes. Where I thought, I'm going to die. I'm going to die here.
I'm going to die.
Yeah, I'd love to be able to. I mean, what I have noticed with people being stuck in all the time is there are people now. People have been told you can go out more often and stuff like that. I am more conscious of noticing people more taking the dogs out and more going for jogs and stuff like that.
There are more people walking around, but again, that's going to be huge for people's mental health. Just literally just leaving the house.
Yeah.
If you weren't going for a walk or walking the dog or doing your running, you would wake up, go into the other room, work, go into the other room, go to sleep, and your head would be fucking cabbaged.
Yeah, that is the issue.
Smart order.
It's very difficult, and I spoke to a few people about it. A few people that have been working from home have found it really difficult to switch off, and I
wouldn't be able to do it. I'm still at work. My industry that I work in, we've been told in no uncertain terms, cannot stop. It literally can't stop. We're not going to stop producing. So.
Because you are a key worker.
Yeah. At the end of the day, we're supplying meat to supermarkets. With the very beginning of the chain, it can't stop. People will starve.
This is the thing. If you were still working in a supermarket, I suppose you'd be all right to get some food.
Yeah, I'd be going in early, throwing it all in back and buying it as soon as shop opened. But to be honest, we're not short of food here. I bulk buy everything anyway. We're doing all right. There's fruit and veg that we're short of, but I don't eat a right lot of fruit and veg to begin with. I've
really struggled to find stuff. Really struggled to find milk, especially milk and eggs and bread. I mean, I've
to the market tomorrow.
Yeah, but it'd be full of people close. But I mean, I presume the market in the town that I live in, that's quite a big place. The big market there. I
wouldn't go to that market. I go to the smaller town, the opposite direction.
Ah, right, yeah. Be full of artisan breads. Yeah. Be full of artisan breads. Go to
that market. Be nicer. Like I said, there is stuff out there. You just got to look for it. Don't go to the supermarkets. You won't get it. Go to your local independent shops who are struggling, but are still open.
Yeah, I might. What throws me is being able to go. I like to go. Right, I fancy this tonight, so I'll go and get that. But at the moment,
and not being able to get aspects of that.
Yeah, well, if I went into a butcher's, it would be a case of going in and seeing what they've got, and then making a decision. I mean, honestly,
really.
No, but the butcher's around the corner. I swear to God, it was queued up.
Yeah, they have been busy. I have a few friends that are butcher's shops, and it's been absolutely manic. 12-hour days since people started panic buying. But they can still get the majority of the stuff.
Well,
if you want steak, you can have steak. It might just not be a ribeye. I
don't like ribeye anyway.
Really at all.
Just a bit too fatty, isn't it, that one? Unless I'm thinking of the wrong one. Another thing that the big thing that I've struggled with, and this really, really threw me. I went to get my hair cut last weekend before we properly shut down everything. And as you know, I normally buy my coffee when I go to that town. So I get there, and my barbers had already closed. They were closing doors. They weren't letting everybody some people come in with other people, but they're only letting in the person that was getting the haircut that would actually come in. And when I left, they had a big sign up on the window saying, "We're shutting." Now, I thought I'd seen on their website, because I'd looked beforehand, they'd put up stuff saying they were shutting the cafe, but they were leaving the other bit open for takeaways and for buying coffee. So I thought I'd be all right. So I get there, and it's all closed up, and they said, following the government, we are closed up. So I thought, shit. So I went onto their website, and for some unknown reason, I didn't buy something there and then. I left it a couple of days, and I went onto their website again, and they've closed everything. Online sales as well, so you cannot get that coffee. So of course, being at home, I'm going through a shitload of coffee because I've got my machine, and that's it's constantly going. So I ran out. I think I had to go to Morrison's before it got mega busy. I mean, it was still like like a bomb site when I got there, but I managed to get coffee because people weren't bulk buying coffee. But then I ran out of that, and now the regulations on shops and stuff, I thought I'm never going to get, and it genuinely worried me. It was one day that I think it was on Wednesday or Thursday. I thought, I've got no coffee. I cannot do. I mean, this shows how addictive it is. I thought I cannot get into this in the morning without having a cup of coffee, and I managed to get some like shitty. I mean, I had to get beans. I mean, to be fair, it's still beans. I'm not going for instant because I'm not a heathen, and got some co-op beans, which, to be fair, are all right, but even over food, the coffee was the worry. The coffee was like, well, I can't do anything. I can't function without it. I can't not have coffee. How typical is it that the first week where it's really on lockdown, I'm going all politician here now, that it's typical of this country that the moment we're told you have got to stay in, you can only be with like two people, one other person. We get fucking gorgeous weather. Yeah.
Yeah. It's been raining now for 3 months solid.
Yep.
First bit of good weather we get locked in the houses.
Yeah, I saw someone post something up from about 2 or 3 years ago, or 4 years ago, on like a memory thing, and it was snowing.
Yeah. Global warming. It's good for the country.
Yeah, well, it's just typical. It's just typical. And
I booked in on Monday to have my haircut on Tuesday, and on Monday night we went into full lockdown. So now for the foreseeable future, I can't have a haircut, which
this worries me. What I'm going to look like in like 2 months.
Well, if I were working from home, I'd probably shave my head just to see how I looked, and then if I didn't like it, by the time I get let out again, it'd grow on again. But I'm still going to work.
I did consider that if it wasn't for the massive cyst I've got on my head that I could do with getting rid of before I shave my head.
Yeah, I'd probably get rid of that as well.
Yeah, this is the thing. So, yeah, I am starting to struggle a bit, but it is so important to get out, and that's the one thing that I think really needs to get put across to people is don't get stuck at home working. Because another thing is some people tend to think that you're working from home, that means you're working 24/7.
Oh, you're not doing any work at all.
I am doing way more work than I was, because when you think about it, all of the company that I work for, all of the stores have shut.
So all the shit's online.
Yes. So all of the revenue has to come from online now. So there is that extra pressure. So working more than ever, and it's just so important to separate yourself. Even if you don't have a separate room for it, I suppose maybe do it in the kitchen, or at the moment do it in the garden or something like that. So you where not in the room.
Don't do it in your bedroom. Don't do it in your living room.
Yeah.
Don't do it in the places you relax.
Because you won't be able to relax. This is why I remember for years I had my computer in my bedroom for years, and then I was just wondering why I never used to sleep, and then I think I remember moving somewhere and having it. I said, I'm putting him in another room. Slept so much better.
Yeah. Because
you need that time to relax and to switch off. Because if you blur the lines between work and home, you can only do that for so long, and then it's going to throw you completely when we eventually go back to work. And even that seems like, I don't know whether
Nobody knows when that'll be.
No one knows when that'll be, and I don't know whether I'm starting. It's agoraphobic is fear of outdoors, isn't it? Yeah. I'm starting to. I'd started feeling a bit panicky. I don't know whether it's because I wasn't able to get what I was after, but when I had been to Morrison's, and it was really eerie because it wasn't. It was probably looked more busy than it actually was because of the fact they were 2 meters apart. But I got there and everyone was stopped and it was quiet, but everyone was staring at me as I was walking, and I just thought, oh, this is weird. This is really weird. And when I went to the co-op, and I kind of felt really conscious of going, oh, he's a bit close to me. I'm going to move out the way. And it made me scared to be outside. It made me a bit anxious, like, oh, this is a bit weird.
Well, I've got some gloves, like vinyl gloves, that I've been wearing, like I put petrol in. And I know how many people touch a petrol pump in a day. I put a pair of gloves on.
Yeah.
I went into the shops, put a pair of gloves on, and I feel conscious about it. But then, on the other hand, I'm not worried about me getting it. But, it's family. I know we're isolated, but, like, my grandma's on her own. My granddad died.
Yeah.
She's on her own in the house 24 hours a day. I'm going to go around at the weekend. We're going to sit in the garden on the opposite side of the garden and have a brew. I'm going to be as isolated as possible, but there's still that worry.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing that most people don't seem to get across. And that's why we're actually doing this. I mean, we're not... Ideally, we wouldn't want to be in this situation, but we've got to actually pull together. And I think you can't help but draw a parallel to the war, because that's the closest thing you can sort of like... And it shows how unacceptable people are finding it to pull together as a country. That they're
it's not us anymore.
It's which is really sad. Which is I think that's what really upset me at first, was to think that you think as English people that we're sort of we've got that Blitz spirit. That's the whole point. We're supposed to be that's what sort of built into what we're supposed to be like. But when it actually comes to it,
it's not the case anymore.
No, but maybe they will look back on this. I mean, there was a lot of crime going on during the war, so you could still look. People will probably repaint this, because we are living history at the moment. People will probably look back on this and go, like, say all the good things that happened. Like, you heard about the NHS clap and stuff.
Yeah, last night. Yeah.
Yeah. Which and we opened the doors to see, because where we live, we thought we wouldn't hear a thing. Walked out the door. There was people on our street. There's people down the road banging pans and stuff. It was quite uplifting to think that there was some sort of clinging on to something as much as they can.
Yeah.
But we will get through it.
Yes, we will. And there is still Easter eggs in the shops.
Thanks for watching this episode of the Northmouth Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and like and all that stuff. And you can follow us on social media as well. And stay safe. Stay at fucking home.